I'm Brian Van, sportbiketracker.com, and today we're going to install the M4 Street Slayer 3/4 exhaust system on our 2015 Yamaha YZF-R1 STG project bike. This is a really cool exhaust. I love the way the Street Slayer stuff works, the way it's hung really low, right? When you see this on there, it's amazing. This is the one that I really wanted to run on the track, okay? But we ran into a couple of issues, and I'm going to share those with you right now. I still think it's a great exhaust, but its name is really what it's going to be meant for, Street Slayer. This isn't going to be a great choice for people riding on the racetrack that ride at a very high level. There's two reasons for that. Reason one is it's going to create a slight clearance issue, right? If you're able to ride, say, at the front of an advanced group on a track day, or you're an expert level racer, you're quite likely going to drag this. It'll damage the canister, okay? If you go to a track day and you're riding intermediate or novice, you know, something like that, you'd probably be okay with it. Issue two is rear sets. I had on driven TT rear sets. They would not work with this exhaust. Then I put on the Woodcraft rear sets. They also would not work with this exhaust. And the area of the problem is going to be the brake lever, okay? All the aftermarket rear sets swing down a little bit lower because the brake lever is of a different design than this factory lever, and it creates a clearance issue. So odds are most of the aftermarket rear sets would be an issue with this. In other words, they won't work together, okay? If anyone out there has installed this with some aftermarket rear sets and it worked, let us know so we can post that on the video and update people. So there's a little disclaimers, and you're also replacing the muffler box on this, okay? So EPA regulations. Some states are more critical of it than others, right? Know your laws before you make a modification like this, because you are changing your emission system. Gains. It's going to look amazing, there's no doubt. More power for sure, because it's not restricted now. You've got that big muffler box out of there. And then weight loss. You're going to lose somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 pounds when you do this, right? It's about a 14-pound weight loss. That is huge. Another thing you need to know, when you're doing this, we will also be eliminating your exhaust servo and cable set. They're already disconnected on this motorcycle. Remember, this is about the 10th exhaust system we put on it. I've got a full video that'll show you how to remove this. And then remember, when this is unplugged, you've got to check engine light. To manage that and turn it off, we're going with the ScooterNet exhaust servo buddy. It's a quick plug-in. It disables the light. Another way to do that is to buy an ECU reflash and have it turned off, right? That's a little more expensive than just this would be. So you've got options there. But remember, look to our other video for the full removal of this. When we come back, I'm going to have the race lower off. Remember, I've got the bike and race body work right now. I didn't want to switch it back for this. So we're going to get the lower off, come back, start removing the muffler box, the O2s, and the exhaust canister. M4 includes with this some great instructions. Written out, followed by full color photos. And of course, at the end, we've got the disclaimer. It's going to talk about altering the emission system, product warranty, that kind of stuff. So they have all this with you, right? When you buy it, you're able to read that before you begin your project. We're just going to jump right into it. Obviously, this is not the first exhaust I've installed on this bike. So we're going to begin by removing the stock canister. It's going to require a 5mm T-handle. We're going to loosen up the stock clamp. You don't need to remove it, just loosen it. And then we have the stock mount for the canister. With this system, we will also be removing the actual exhaust bracket itself, as it will not be required because they're using only one hanger down low here. So we'll go ahead and, while we're up here, remove this. Save all the parts. Every stock part you take off your motorcycle needs to be put away somewhere in case you have a need for it down the road. You don't want to find yourself without it. Okay, and that can be put to the side as well. A great way to handle stuff like this is the bolts thread in it. thread the bolts in the piece. That way you have all the hardware and the piece together. It reduces the chance of losing anything. Okay, now let's talk O2 removal. I say this every single time. Some would say that you should go up in here and disconnect the oxygen sensor so that way when you remove it, you're not twisting the wires at all. You can do that. This is quite a long harness. In all my experience as a mechanic, previous to doing what I do now, working on cars, we never did that. We always spin the wires. But what you want to do is you want to actually rotate the wire itself, okay, while you're turning the sensor. So what you're doing is you're taking the stress off the ends, kind of putting it more in the middle. And with such a long harness, it's able to twist like that without any damage. This is one of multiple systems I put on this bike. We've had zero issue. Go ahead and unwind that. Now we've got our exhaust clamp here. Once again, no need to take that off, just loosen it up. That's loose enough. Now we have a mount point here, as well as a mount here behind the stock brake lever. You press and hold the brake lever like so, and you'll need to hold it down while you remove that fastener. Keep this fastener. Come over here. Sounds like my cameraman's kind of hungry right now. He doesn't eat lunch, I don't understand it. All right, this fastener out. Now we'll head over to the other side of the motorcycle and get that stuff ready to go. All right, here we go. Got a little wire loom there, remove that. Get this O2 sensor out. Like I said, if you'd rather unplug everything, knock yourself out. It's going to be a little more disassembly, that's for sure. And honestly, I don't really believe it to be necessary. Okay, now we've got our mount here. Stock fairings. How do I remove the stock fairings? We have a video that covers that as well. We actually have several of our earlier videos that will show you how to get all the fairings off the motorcycle. No worries, feel free to watch those. Got my exhaust clamp loose. All the mounts are out. You can kind of see how it slopes downward a little bit now. Want to support it back here and put some rearward pressure on it while I wiggle it up and down, like so. And there you have it. There is that gigantic catalyst and muffler box. This is the majority of the weight of the exhaust system. Okay, when M4 packages everything, they include a little bit of anti-seize, right? We're gonna use this in a couple of different places. First thing we're gonna do is, I'm not going to be using an aftermarket oxygen sensor, no auto-tune or Bazaz unit on this. We're gonna use the two stock buns. So this one we need to plug off. They include the plug with the system. I'll put a little bit of anti-seize on it because we have dissimilar metals here, titanium and steel. Go ahead and thread this bad boy in here. What you don't want to have happen if you don't use the Loctite is this thing could seize in there and somewhere down the road you change your mind and you want to use some type of auto tune and you can't get it out, you're going to have a problem. The next place that we want to put this stuff is on the inlet, both sides of the mid pipe, and then a little coating on the inlet of the canister. This is just going to allow it to go together a little bit easier and then come back apart in the future if we need to disassemble it for any type of service. Very thin coating is all you really need here. And for the canister, like I said, just a very, very thin coating. Really kind of bummed out about the clearance issues and the rear set issues because this is the system that I had my eye on at first. Okay, now we're ready to slide this in place. First thing you want to do is get your barrel clamps, slide them over like so, and Other side. These are actually both kind of snug, so what I'm going to do right now is just loosen these up pretty much as far as they'll go to make sure that I'm able to get everything together without any issue. I'll do that for this one as well, just a couple of quick rotations here. Okay, now we've got our mid pipe. Slides right on, fits real nice. I'm going to get the clamps over it so nothing's obstructing. I get that bad boy on there. We're not going to tighten anything down right now, okay? What we will do is put in the one mounting bolt here, and they supply nuts to go behind it. Red Loctite's a great idea to use here. We're not going to do it because this motorcycle is going to come apart and go back together several times still, so I don't want to use any thread locker. But for you and your application, odds are when you put it on, it's going to stand for quite a while, so you'd want to use that. Don't put it on until you're ready to tighten everything down, and don't tighten everything down yet. Let's finish putting the system together from the back to the front, and then we'll tighten everything up. To install the canister, what I'm going to recommend that you do is actually loosen up the rear set and kind of let it hang here. This is just going to give us a little more clearance to work with. Okay, got the rear set out of the way. Go ahead and get this canister slid on very tight here. Kind of rotating and pushing at the same time. More to go here. Okay, use a stock bolt, supplied nut. Now we'd be in a position where you can start tightening things down if you want to. Once again, we talked about the use of Loctite. Definitely a very good idea. Okay, let's get the backup wrench here. Now we can go ahead and work on the clamps as well as the oxygen sensors. For the clamps, what I like to do is get them about 1/8 of an inch away from the end of the mid pipe itself and then run them down. You don't need to put a lot of torque here. Nice even torque will do it. Right there is good. Now for the O2 sensor. We'll need the wrench. We're going to go ahead and wind this up opposite of the direction it gets threaded in, and slide it into pipe. Let's get those threads started. Right there. And now, as we thread it in, it will unwind that wire harness like so. Snug it up with the wrench and position it back out of the way. We'll go over to the other side and work on the O2 sensor, the clamp. Same deal. I'm going to wind the wire up opposite the direction we thread the sensor in. Get that sensor started. So, secure this out of the way. We'll make sure we take the excess and pull it back up. Just come right up in here and find your O2 wire. Give it a nice little tug. Pull it all out of the way so it's not near the shifter. Now we can come to our clamp. And snug that up just like we did the other side. Two things remain to be done. Number one is let's get our rear set back on here. Another great place to use Loctite is here. Blue Loctite would suffice. And then we want to wipe down the titanium, okay? You start the motorcycle with all your greasy handprints on there, they will burn into the pipe. And you definitely don't want that to happen. I'd like to point out, this is really tight, you know, pretty much almost right up against the swing arm here. And we'll wipe this down. Wipe down the header anywhere we touched it. We test fit the lower fairing for the race body work, and it won't fit. This is definitely in the way, so just like the name says, Street Slayer, this is really most appropriate for street riding. Little clearance issues when cornering, very low cornering, okay? Aftermarket rear set compatibility issues, race body work, you'd really have to trim the heck out of it. Fits fine with the street stuff. I don't want to put that all back on right now, but the M4 photos show that it fits fine with the street body work. The pros are, it looks amazing. Can't wait to start it up and hear it. I'm really disappointed this isn't going to be the one that I would be using, but for a street rider looking for this low slung look, super cool. When we come back, we'll have the motor warm and the bike running. Okay, motor's all warmed up. We're ready to hear what it sounds like. I gotta admit, that sounds pretty cool right there. This is our M4 Street Slayer slip-on exhaust install on our 2015 Yamaha YZF-R1 STG project bike.